Howdy, welcome back to the channel. This is Matthew Pizgatti. I'm going to go ahead and answer the questions that I will have put in the title of this video first off. I want to get those quickly out of the way and then explain further because we all hate clickbait titles. I don't want to draw you in without giving you an answer. If that satisfies you, you can hop right out and stop watching, or you can stay tuned for the longer explanation and my completely unexpert opinion on the matter. So, would I recommend someone newly looking into drip or garden, the drip garden or drip faucet? And since I can't offer financial advice, this is just me offering an opinion. I will phrase it in the form of what I would do. If I were not invested in either, would I invest in either right at this moment? And then we'll explain why or why not. So I'll start with faucet first, with the drip faucet. And we may touch on the reservoir as well, and we'll also mention the garden. Drip faucet. If I were not currently, if I didn't have anything in there, which I don't have a very big bag, I've got like 1.3 drip, which when I bought in was about 130, so I've kind of ridden it all the way back down. Due to where I think the price is, and where I think it's going to keep going, which I think is lower for a moment, and then swing back up, I would actually tell my self, if I was a future me giving advice, I would say no, not into the faucet just yet. I would actually wait to see if it continues downward on the current trend that it is headed. And that's not a very cool thing to say, probably, if you are a YouTuber who is, well, actually anyone who is talking about drip. If you're invested, most will probably not share that opinion with you because even though it's unbiased, you obviously want more people into the system that you're investing into because that will help the price swing back up if we get more contract balance and get people back in. But from a completely unbiased perspective, no, I would keep continuing down and wait to see if we find a lower floor. Reservoir. Would I throw money into that if I wasn't at the moment? And I don't have any in there right now. I am thinking about putting some in maybe next week or the week after. I would say yes. I would say yes because if you read the white paper, most people skip over this portion of the white paper. But this is a solution for players that want to benefit non-inflationary yield farming through adding liquidity to drip. Now, the reservoir is actually cool because you put B&B in and you withdraw as B&B, I think. Maybe converting to these drops. Are they their own separate token? I'm going to have to look into that a little further myself. I thought the rewards were B&B on the way out. I'm going to investigate this further on my own. The reason I would actually recommend this, though, if I were bullish on the system or the ecosystem in general, is that this helps harden the price floor, helps raise the price floor for drip as a whole. And you should read, do your own research into the white paper further, read that section as to why that is. It should be, which page is this? This is page 8, I think. I was answering this question quickly, and so we'll circle back around to this. Get that out of here. And then, so I would say yes on the reservoir because it helps the ecosystem as a whole. What about DRIP BUSD Garden? DRIP BUSD Garden, would I recommend the DRIP Garden to myself if I were not currently invested in it? Because right now, my main option is to keep compounding until the price comes back up. So again, this is if you're bullish on drip, if you think it's going to swing back up after this dip. The answer would also be yes. So I would say yes to the garden, yes to the reservoir, and no on the faucet. And now I will dive into a more in-depth explanation as to why for all of these. So I'll start off with the drip garden because it's easiest to explain. The reason that I would still be in the garden is just due to the way the compounding works. Now, having where I'm at 481 plants, and ignore all these other numbers, they're not really accurate. We're not paying attention to those right now. But if I had 481 plants, we're just looking at these two columns right now, At my 481 plants, I make about 16 plants a day. And you can see how this is only estimating if I were to compound once a day. So it actually stacks up quicker than this. You can see from my 481 plants, at 30 days, I'm already up to 1,222 plants. And this starts stacking up very quickly. And so if we are bullish on DRIP, if we think the price is going to come back up, it would still be, any time to get into this would be an amazing idea, because the price per plant continues to drop, which is the reason for that. The built-in decay in the drip garden is to make it more attractive, so that no matter what time you buy in, you're getting an equivalent amount of plants for the same kind of dollar value. So any time to get into the garden should be attractive, as long as you're bullish on DRIP and think it's going to swing back up, which I do, and we're going to visit the chart in just a moment to talk more about that. So any time to get into the garden, I think is cool, because by the time that price does swing back up, we have, if you did start with, say, 400 plants or wherever you're at, that's going to snowball. And then by the time it swings back up, maybe you have 1,000 plants, maybe you have 3,000 plants, and it may look kind of bleak until it starts to swing back up. But then when that LP reward per plant comes back upward, or the decay will just basically stop or kind of reverse itself for a week or two when the upswing happens, you'll be sitting really pretty, and you'll actually that'll pay off like extremely well. So I do think I would still recommend the garden. And the reservoir, as I mentioned, let's glance at this white paper a little further. I think this page always gets skipped over, and I'm seeing more people talk about it, so that's good. So it helps add liquidity to DRIP. Players can participate by adding BNB to the reservoir, and you earn passive perpetual BNB rewards. See, I thought the rewards were in BNB. I was thinking I had read that. You also provide locked liquidity to the DRIP ecosystem, and the BNB rewards are paid out instantly and through the persisting DRIP protocol from the dividend pool. So I think this is a component people are missing of the ecosystem. You can see here that the reservoir helps provide long-term price support and an ever-rising potential price floor, as permanently locked liquidity is added to the DRIP token on the network swap exchange. So you get perpetual BNB dividends using the reservoir, but it ensures that the floor of liquidity for DRIP is hardened. So just long-term price support. So this is interesting. You can get the BNB in return as a reward, and you help the floor of DRIP. So if you are the price floor. So if you are not only bullish on DRIP, but you are invested in the Faucet, or you want to be, it just seems like this would be something beneficial to be in that helps the whole ecosystem. And maybe it wasn't promoted enough, and that's why we're seeing this big dip anyway. But if it had been promoted more, it may, I mean, for one, the BNB would be helping pay your gas fees, right? If you're getting rewards in BNB, I mean, that kind of wipes out your gas fees like they don't exist. And maybe that was also part of the idea here. And then the Faucet, even though I'm invested in it, I mean, at this price point for DRIP, I still think it's pretty attractive. And other people do as well, obviously. We can see if we drop down today to like a... Well, before I do that, because I want to show you some of the buys, but we'll have to drop to like a 15-minute or something. Before I do that, let me show you something, because I see a lot of people, or I did see a lot of people around this 55 mark that really thought that was going to be the support, and it did kind of hover there for a little over a day. It was pretty close there for maybe a day or two. I think what we're noticing on the chart, what actually happened, was that the last two times that we were around that 55 mark, those were really just brief bounces. Like, I always look at like the timeline, because here's when we were last around 56, 55. That's December 19th through, the 19th through like the 21st maybe. And then over here we were in some of the same range, the 9th through maybe the 11th. And so that's really not a huge support, not a huge floor. I mean, I know we can't read these the exact same way as a stock chart, but just looking at the historical chart can be a clue as to where we find some resistance or support, blah blah blah. Because when we go back and look in this range, in like the 20 to 25 range, what is this, from 26th to the 30th? That's not huge, but this is the 19-20 range. This is what, the 23rd, and that started on the 6th. So all the way from the 5th or 6th to about the 23rd, we're at that 20 price point. Here's a pretty big range where we're in, 13 to what, like 17, and that's around the 6th all the way to the 4th. That's a pretty big amount of time, right? And then I thought there was more right around that area. Yeah, here's more again, like 18 to 20. This is 24th through, well, probably the 1st maybe. So I don't know. I think all of that there, and kind of here too. There's a lot more historical support in that price range than there is at that 55 range, which is just like a quick bounce before heading all the way up. Kind of a bounce. People sold off thinking that was the peak, and then bam, we rocket upward again. So I would see us coming down to those price points, and here's some reasons why I'm still bullish on DRIP and why I think we're going to have that upswing as well. As you can see, these are mostly sells, but then around that 55 area, there were a lot of people who were getting confident and trying to buy back in. I can see a lot more green during that 55 range. A lot of people were struggling to try to, and that almost did become kind of the floor to rocket back off of. But I think there's been so much negativity in the chats, and the sentiment really does matter. I mean, on YouTube, in the Telegram, that all matters because that's how these DeFi projects work. These protocols work. DRIP and some of the others are really protected the way they are staked, that someone can only pull their claimed amount out daily anyway. So they can only pull out that daily 1% unless they've let it stack up more than a couple days, but it's still just a daily 1%, essentially. So DRIP and some of those others are protected in that way. People can't just drain the system overnight, and maybe that helps promote a little bit more level-headedness, but the sentiment does matter. And when there's so much negativity, and then when the Piggy Bank took so much attention away from it, there's a million legitimate reasons for why we could say DRIP is dropping. And so those have been explained a million times, but where are we going to find that bottom and then swing back upward is kind of the question. And there's a million reasons why that'll happen as well. So again, not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do with your funds, but I like where this is going. Selfishly, I want it to drop back down to those supports around 20, around 19, because I'm going to buy, well, whatever a large amount is for me of DRIP, and I'm going to put it into the Faucet, probably some BNB into the Reservoir. I'm not going to put any more into the garden because I'm already compounding there, and I'll probably put some into Piggy Bank and see where that shakes out for me. But so I think all of that really answers the question: would I, now knowing what I know now, would I invest into DRIP? Well, I wouldn't have invested into it at the 130. Obviously, I would have waited for this dip. And I guess I caught it a little early. If I had seen the dip coming ahead of time, then I would have waited for it to start swinging downward and possibly even dollar cost averaged on the way down. And if you do think like me that this is going to swing back upward, this may still be an attractive rate, this 40 something, and you could kind of just DCA all the way down to whatever dip we hit, because when that hits, if it does find a good floor, I think it's going to be a pretty quick swing if I had to guess. I mean, people may be distracted still by the animal farm and whatever else they're investing in, but sometimes those things can hit pretty quick and then you miss out. It'll hit that floor like a 20 or an 18 and then everyone buys. You know how many people are in the Telegram for Animal Farm, which is really the catch-all for DRIP and everything else as well. There may be a separate DRIP Telegram that I'm not in, but the Animal Farm has about 60,000 members in there. Now, there may be a lot of bots. There may be other actors in there, but that's a lot of people. That's a lot of support. And if you go check out like the Dune Analytics, some of these, yeah, there's a lot of sells. There's more sells right now than there are buys. But look at all these buys. Like, that is a lot, right? Look at how many new wallets. Not as much as last month. Like, February was a dip from January. But, look at this high increase. And then, yeah, we're down because the price is falling a bit. And so you're getting less uptake. People are talking about it a little less, perhaps, not pumping it as much. But even last year, 23,000 new accounts, new wallets, unique wallets signed up. And we're already at almost 7,000 this month, and we're only on, what, the 13th? So all of that seems bullish to me. All of that seems positive, and that's how I'm viewing it. But that's just my opinion. It's not an expert opinion by any means, but I think that's where we are. So I want to thank you all for watching. I will see you on the next video, and I hope you're having a great whatever time of day it is for you. Thanks for all the likes, subscribes, and support. Have a good one. Thanks.